Hi folks, I'm Nate with Two Guys That Ride. Today Rob and I are down here at the 31st Speedway Motors Heartland Nationals in Des Moines, Iowa. We're here with Fred, and Fred has got a fantastic car behind us. Fred, tell us what this is.
Well, it's a car with the longest name in the history of cars, I think. It's a Nash Rambler Airflyte Greenbrier Wagon.
Phew, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, even I have trouble putting it all together.
So, now, boy, I gotta tell you, first of all, stunning piece of art.
Thank you.
That is just beautiful. So, originally, right? When you found this car, where did you find it?
It's a California car. It was in a junkyard in Northern California.
Okay, but you actually found another Nash before that, back to the 50s, right?
Yeah, probably 20 years earlier. My son and I were over there, saw one in a yard that was for sale. We passed on it. I said, hey, wouldn't that make a good street rod? And we were going to look at it when we came back out. And when we came back out, came out a different way and failed to look at it. So thought one of these days I'll find one. And 18 years later, we found one.
you found this. All right. So what got you started in your interest in cars?
Well, when I was just a little guy, my father was a shade tree mechanic, and I'd help him rebuild engines in the backyard. My job was to clean the tools and hold the flashlight when it was dark.
So your interest in cars comes from way back.
Way back, yes.
Then of course you get a job, you get married, you got kids, everything's busy.
Yeah. So
at what point did you start, actually buying a car to restore?
Well, that happened in 2007.
Okay.
The first one I bought was a 55 Chevy, and we restored it ground up, Art Morrison chassis, the whole ball of wax.
Okay. Now, and you've restored a couple other ones besides this one.
62 Corvette, 69 Corvette, yes.
Okay, so you've got a little bit of history on restoring cars, right? So
yes.
Let me ask you this question for people out there thinking about getting into restoration. What's one or two words of advice you would throw their way if they were just starting, right? They've maybe got the money to get started, but they actually haven't done it before.
Well, if you're going to restore a car, my advice, first thing, you find something with no rust. You can find plenty of them with rust, but by the time you cut it out and replace it, it's cheaper to pay the extra few dollars and get the car with no rust.
Okay, and we've heard that from other collectors too. Buy the best quality you can to start with, and then it's always easier to fix something that's in good shape than it is to pay to have to restore them. All right, so on this car itself, the floor was rusted out.
Floor was rusted out.
Because you only saw pictures of it on the internet.
Yes.
You actually didn't see it in person until it arrived on a flatbed.
That's correct.
Okay.
So the floors were rusted out, but that didn't make any difference because they had to cut the floors out anyway to put the new chassis under it.
All right. Tell us the story a little bit, because I think other collectors will appreciate this. Tell us a little story about this, where you saw it, and then you called them up to buy it.
Well, a friend of mine told me that a guy in California had 2,500 rust-free cars for sale. And I thought, sure, yeah, right. I'll be the judge of that. So I get on his website, and sure enough, I'm looking at pickup trucks and cars, and there's no rust on them. Wow, that's amazing. And I think maybe he's got a 52 Nash wagon. So I searched through, and sure enough, there's the car. So contacted him, told him I was interested in buying it. But he said, I asked him if he had a title. He said, nope. And I said, well, what do I do? He said, well, I got the title, but I got 2,500 of them. I'm not going through them. You either want the car or you don't.
Oh, boy.
I said, well, let me check, see if I can get a title in South Dakota. So once I checked, it took a week or so. Got back to him. He says, well, I sold the car already.
Oh, no.
I said, really? He says, yep. I said, would you mind giving me the guy's name and number? He says, no. So he gives me the name and number. And I call the guy up and I say, hey, how would you like to make $1,000? He says, well, what'd you have in mind? I said, well, you bought that Nash from the guy in California. I'll give you $1,000 more than you paid for it. And he says, well, I I did put a new tailgate on it, and I did have to go and get it. And I said, well, okay. He says, make it $1,500. So fine, I'd pay him $1,500. So I paid the $1,500 and had the car.
And finally got the car.
And the good thing about it was, he saved me several $100s, because in Oregon, he can take the bill of sale, apply for a title, and get a title, which is what he did. So he gave me the title. I just had the title converted.
And you got the new tailgate.
Yes.
See,
the other one evidently had been bashed in.
Okay. So let's talk about, man. I tell you what. Let's talk about the side. What have you changed from the original car?
Basically nothing. The body is as it came from the factory. We did change the lower trim. The lower trim had grooves in it. We thought that the plain solid would look better.
Okay.
I think it does.
It looks great.
On the back of the car, we recessed the license plate, and there were some seams actually that ran up and down across and through the tail lights.
Okay.
We closed those up because they weren't necessary. And the only other thing we did was notched out the bumpers for the exhaust tips.
Okay, now on the original car, was there a piece of trim on the middle part that you removed as well?
No, the lower trim was all there was.
All there was. Okay, man, what a looker. How did you get the color?
You know, I'm a green guy, light green.
Okay.
But we couldn't match the green that I wanted. So we worked and worked and worked and worked, and we finally had to custom make it.
Oh boy.
And I think
you had to custom make.
Yeah, we got it exactly where I wanted it. Match is perfect.
Yeah, and it is stunning. Now these are the original taillights.
They are the original taillights, although the silver part there we made because without those silver parts, these taillights look blah on the back of the car.
Okay. And just so people, I'll ask a question just so people who watch the video knows, but there is no airless suspension on this.
No,
this is its stance.
This is the static ride height.
Okay. And if you look at pictures of the original, which we did, I mean, it's, high enough that you can see all the lug nuts if you're down level with the tire.
Yeah, I think we talked about 5-inch drop on this car.
Okay.
So
it looks great. Now, and none of the window, the top was not chopped or anything. This is the original top. This is the way it was.
That's the way it was. Yep.
Now,
all the door handles are the same. The hinges are the same. The latches are the same.
Did you have to re-chrome things, I'm assuming?
Well, we did. We cleaned them up and re-chromed them.
Okay. Now, on the front, back to the front for a minute, let's talk about the motor you got in here. What did it come with?
It came with a straight 6 flathead with 83 horsepower.
All right, now open the hood. Yes. Fred made us just a small improvement.
Yeah, we changed that over to an LS3 with 495 horsepower. The original car would go 0 to 60 in 18.3 seconds. I think we've improved on that just a tad.
Just a tad. You know what? One of the small details that you notice is that this is a matte finish.
Yes.
I like that up in here, the whole hood inside the engine compartment, but it's the same color.
Right, same color, just a matte finish.
But it gives it a different. That matte finish really gives it a different shade, doesn't it?
It does.
I just love it. I love how clean it is. Now, when you restored this, how much of this work do you do yourself, and how much, or did you hire people to do everything, or do you have some mechanical ability, body shop wise or paint wise, or?
Well, the other cars, I did the majority of the mechanical work myself.
Okay.
I don't have the patience for body work. I can't stand there and cut and rub all day. Can't do it. So I don't do the body work. I could weld in a panel here and there if I needed to, but as far as paint and clearing, not me. I have to get somebody else. In this case, I wanted a high-end car, so I did all the disassembly, cut the floors out. We took it to Roadster Shop, we put a chassis under it, and then it went down to Huntsville, Alabama, the Paul Atkins shop. Paul did the interior and then put it back together and painted it.
Okay. Now, this has won some awards.
Yes.
So talk about those for a minute.
It took top 10 in Columbus last year at Good Guys Show. It took top 10 in Raleigh this year at the Good Guys Show. I entered it in Wes Rydell's car show in Grand Forks, North Dakota. I took first place in coming from Wes Rydell and his guys. That's impressive.
He has a great collection.
So yeah, that's some of the shows it's been in. It had some local shows that always, takes first or best interior or something.
Okay. Now you talked about the chassis. So tell us a little bit about the chassis on the car, because it's not the original chassis.
No, we had Roadster Shop did the chassis, and they didn't have a standard chassis to put under it. So what they do is they measure every square inch of the car, the underside of the car, with lasers, and then send it to a computer. Computer designs based on what the lasers have told them the measurements are, and then computer sends information, cuts it out, the guys weld it up, and you've got a chassis that fits absolutely perfect.
That's nice. That's neat that they can do that. Doesn't surprise me that they can do it, but I've not heard of that before. That's really cool. So yeah, you have disc brakes on here.
Disc brakes all the way around. They're Willwood.
Okay.
We got Coddington wheels.
Okay. The thing is, you want to be able to. You wanted a show car, right? And I wanted a high quality show car. You also want to be able to drive it.
Yes.
And feel safe.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about the interior for a minute. Okay. So on the interior, tell us what you've done here. How much of this is original and how much is
the dash is all original. We did fill in the hole for the radio and put a Wi-Fi radio stereo in this.
Okay.
And we did cut the holes for the air conditioning.
Okay.
Other than that, dash is the same.
The trim piece, where the speedometer is.
Yep, speedometer's the same speedometer, but we had Dakota Digital upgrade it to electronic.
Right.
Still looks
I love that.
analog, but they upgraded it to digital.
So now, it would not have had a center console before on the original car?
It had a very low one.
Very low one, okay. How many speed transmission?
I believe this is a 4-speed transmission.
Okay. It's automatic.
I could be wrong, but it's a 4L70E.
Okay. You got, of course, power window switches. Tell us where the seats came from.
Seats came out of a 1964 Thunderbird.
Okay.
And then the back seat was all handmade by Atkins.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wow. Now, and of course, you wrapped them all in leather, which the car would have probably come with cloth, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Okay. You made an interesting comment about these side windows here in the second row.
Yes.
So, in some reference to nomads?
Well, we were sitting next to a nomad at a car show one day, and it dawned on me that the nomad has the same layout as the Nash, the same slope B-pillars and all the way back. And it dawned on me that Chevy had copied Nash for their nomad.
Our apologies to any nomad owners out there, but
maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't seen anything by Chevy earlier than this. It looks like
that looks like that, right? Man. Well, you also do some work with your son.
Yes.
Because so you have some not necessarily this car, but you and he share a passion for cars.
Yes. He's helped me with the 62 and the 69 Corvette a little bit, but he's liking 80s and 90 European cars.
Well, I'm with him there. I mean, I love this, but I love those years because he has a S-Class Mercedes from that era.
Well, I have an S-Class, a 95.
Well, you have the S-Class, okay.
Yep, and he and I have been, it was not running when we got it, but he and I have been working on it. It's now running. We're driving it all over the place.
And he got the Volvo.
Yeah, 89 Volvo Bertoni.
The hand-built one.
Yes.
Well, I just think it's neat that you share that passion with your son. You have that connection. Wait, so since you lowered the car, did you have to do any tubbing or anything in the rear? Or?
Well, we did tub to the inside, and as you can see, if you didn't know it was tubbed, you probably couldn't tell.
No, it's minute. I mean, for what you think of tubbing, this is really not much.
Correct.
Wow. Huh. I also, after you opened the door, noticed that you painted the hinges to match the leather.
Yes.
You gotta like that little touch.
Yes. There's some interesting things on this car.
Okay.
The way the tailgate opens, for one thing.
I like that split. I like that. Now, is this the original hardware?
All original hardware.
You know, it's amazing how well things survive.
Well, that was painted. We chrome plated that.
Well, I'm sure, but just that the metal was good enough to still use. That's wow. Now, the back, of course, is the floor is very flat. Would there have originally been a spare tire or anything in there?
You know, I'm sure there was, but I don't remember where it was. I think they had a low spot and the tire sat down under the carpet.
Okay, all right.
In the original car, the seats folded forward, so you had a flat bed in it.
Okay. Man, that is just absolutely beautiful, inside and out. What a piece of artwork.
Thank you.
Now, when you saw the car, you had said earlier when we were talking that what it is today popped in your head. You saw much of this right in your head as soon as you saw the car.
Yeah, for lack of a better word, I have a knack for just looking at it and saying this would look good, this would look good, and this would look good. And turns out
you were right.
Pretty good.
Well, you know, Fred, thank you so much for sharing your story of how you got into cars, your passion for cars, and the story of this 52 Nash as well. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thanks for watching.